Hi guys, my name is Trinh and today I'm here to do my March wrap up. I read 7 books and honestly I really thought that I was gonna read a lot, but March was literally the worst month of 2020 because of the pandemic. It really affected my mental health. A lot of times I just did not want to do anything, so there were days where I just watched Netflix, and then there were days where I didn't read a lot because I was busy with my schoolwork. But still, I read a decent amount of books and honestly I had a pretty good reading month. There are some really amazing books that I read in March, but then there is one disappointing read. I feel like with that book I'm gonna rant for a little bit, so this video should be pretty interesting. The first book that I read is Queens of Geek by Jen Weil. So in Queens of Geek we have 3 main characters named Charlie, Taylor, and Jamie. So Charlie is like the famous YouTuber and she is an actress. Taylor is like Charlie's best friend, and then Jamie is the guy friend in the group. So basically these 3 characters are from Australia, but in this book they fly to California to go to this convention thing called SuperCon. It's very similar to VidCon, but at the same time I think it's perfect for people who are in fandoms. In the beginning of this book we find out that Charlie is trying to get over her breakup with her ex-boyfriend named Reese. They were starring in a movie and they were actually going out, but then her ex-boyfriend cheated on her multiple times with multiple women, and it was like a public thing because they are in a way celebrities. They have a lot of fans. They really want these 2 people together, but we need to like acknowledge the fact that Charlie is an actual human being, and even though she is very famous, she does not want to be associated with Reese because he is an asshole. He cheated on her. He treats her like trash, but not just that, he treats her friends like trash. So I will talk more about him because I really hate his character. And then we have Taylor, who is like the best friend of Charlie. She is like a big fan of this series. She really wants to meet the author at SuperCon, but then like she has a hard time meeting the author. And then also Jamie, the guy, is that his name? Jamie, he is in love with Taylor and Taylor is in love with him. This book takes place in like 2 or 3 days I believe, because this primarily takes place at SuperCon and it only lasts for like a weekend. Let's start with the things that I really like about this book, and honestly this book was like a breath of fresh air. It was really cute and I really like the characters and I really love the representation for the characters. So for example, Charlie, the main character, she is Chinese Australian, and then Taylor, she has anxiety, but then also she has autism spectrum disorder. And then Jamie, he's just a sweetheart, okay? He is such a good guy. And then the side characters, I really like them. I feel like the one that stand out to me is Alyssa. I forgot to say that Charlie, the main character, is also bisexual. So she was dating a guy, but he's a douchebag. And then in this book we find out that she is interested in this YouTuber and her name is Alyssa. As for the ex-boyfriend Reese, he is such an asshole. Throughout this book he's just being a dick to Charlie, who is such a nice girl. And I really like this discussion because we have these 2 people, Charlie and Reese. They are celebrities, but not just that, they dated for a period of time. Sometimes I feel like the fans, especially in this culture, they really treat their idols horribly and they feel entitled because they think that they know these celebrities when in reality they really don't. Now let's talk about the things that bothered me a little bit. This is a minor issue, but oh my god, the dialogue, sometimes it can be so cringy. I don't think the dialogue is the best. Sometimes it's like perfectly normal, but then there are times where I'm like, oh my god, no one would say things like this. Also, the word dork or like dorky is mentioned quite a few times and I just hate that word. I don't know why. I just really hate the word dork and geek. I just hate the way they sound and I kind of don't like them being used in dialogues, I guess. I don't know. That's just me being nitpicky, but honestly this book is really great and it's very cute because we have good representation, you know, when it comes to diversity. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I finished it in like a few days. I cannot wait to read the companion novel. I believe it's called The Bright Sider. I have it in my collection because Sandy gave it to me I think last year. I really hope I can read that book in 2020. The second book that I read in March is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Of course I read this book with my parapetized Sandy. It was really fun to read this book with her, and I have a reading blog for this book and I also have a book reviewing discussion for this book. I'm not going to talk about this book too much because I have 2 videos dedicated to this book, so I highly recommend checking out those videos if you want to hear my reviews and such, especially the book reviewing discussion because it's like a 24-minute video about this book. So Of course, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars because I really love it. And like I said, if you want to hear everything that I have to say about this book, then check out the book review and discussion, which is going to be linked down in the description box below. The third book that I read in March is I'm Telling the Truth But I'm Lying by Bassi Ikpi. The author says that this is actually all essays, but then also this can be viewed as a memoir because this book is literally just about her life. So there are some trigger warnings for this book: child abuse, depression, drug use, amputation, bipolar 2. So like I said, this book is literally just about her life, but honestly this is really about her mental illness. In the beginning, we see how her mother treats her horribly. In addition to that, we see how her boyfriends, or like her ex-boyfriends, treat her. I kind of like the fact that she is not a good guy. I remember that there's a relationship where she's actually the bad guy. She was just fed up with this guy and he was relying on her. This book really talks about mental illness, but not just that, it shows how your mind plays tricks on you. It's just a really hard book to read sometimes because I feel like when I read this book, it was when my mental health was declining because of the quarantine. I feel like this book kind of influenced me on how I felt because this book is not a happy book at all. It's a really sad book because it is literally about mental illness. The author is being very honest with her experiences. So when I was reading this book, I just did not feel good, okay? So when I finished this book, I was really happy about that because I was like, okay, we're done with this, so we can move on. I didn't take it very well, so overall I really enjoyed this book. I think this is amazing and the writing is very good. I really appreciate the author being truthful in this book. I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoy it. I feel like if your mental health is shit right now, do not read this book. This book can really take you to dark places, okay? So please be cautious when you read this book. The fourth book that I read in March is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. There are some trigger warnings for this book: whipping, violence, and murder. So this book follows our main character named Jude. So in the prologue, we learn that Jude is a human being. She has a twin sister named Taryn and then a half sister named Vivian. So we learn that her mother was basically in the fairy world for a while, but then her mom escaped with a human and we see this fairy killing her parents, and then he just takes these 3 girls with him back to the fairy world. Jude is basically a human being being raised in fairy, and of course we meet Carden and his friends. Carden is very mean. His friends are meaner than him, which is a shocking revelation because I thought Carden was the worst. But yeah, Jude gets a lot of shit at school and she gets bullied all the time because she's like a human being. But not just that, she doesn't know when to shut the fuck up, so she always talks back to them, you know, back to like Carden, and Carden is like the prince, so it's like, oh my god, how can you disrespect the prince like that? And then of course we have the political side of the story, and I will talk more about that, but let me just say, it took me by surprise. Let's talk about the characters, okay? Jude is a badass in my opinion. She is a human being trying to survive in this world where almost everyone hates her. I just like the fact that she doesn't take shit from other people, especially people who bully her. But not just that, I remember reading the part where she talks about how every single day she would drink poison to train herself to withstand it. And I remember being like, the fuck, that is really badass because I feel like no one would do such a thing. But since she's a human being and in a way she knows that she is vulnerable to this world, she does whatever it takes to be stronger than her competitors. I also like the fact that she is not a perfect character. This girl is cunning. She manipulates people and she's a liar. She's not a perfect character, and I really like that. I really like the fact that she can be strong and badass, but in a way she works for herself, or like she works with other people, but the real plan is in her mind and she does whatever it takes to get the things that she wants, I guess. Great character in my opinion. Carden. In the beginning, he was a douchebag. Oh my god, he was really mean. And the thing is, I knew that Carden and Jude would get together because it's kind of obvious that these two people are like destined to be together. But at the same time, I was thinking to myself, like, how is this going to happen? Because Carden and his friends are awful to Jude and her sister. And of course, Jude hates Carden. She hates him so much. He hates her as well. I'm just thinking to myself, like, how is this going to be executed? And honestly, I think it was done pretty well. Now, as for the political stuff, It was complicated at first, but once you're used to this world and the characters, I feel like things just start to make sense. The last half, I was just enjoying everything, okay? Because that one event that happened towards like the middle of this book is so important. It influences the rest of this book. So I think that's why I really love this book, because the first half I was introduced to the world and the characters. That event happened, and then the rest of the book was just chef's kiss, okay? It was really, really good. So at the end of the day, I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was so freaking good. It was better than I expected, to be honest. I try not to have a high expectation because this book is very, very popular. I was iffy going into this because I just did not want to be disappointed at the end, but I really was not disappointed. I was enjoying everything. So yeah, the ending was really good. I cannot wait to read the second book. The 5th book that I read in March is In the Key of Neera Gani by Natasha Dean. I've had this arc for literally a year, and I'm so glad I finally read this book because I'm trying to read a lot of arcs in 2020. I'm trying to be a better book reviewer, so I feel the need to read my arcs right here. That's my arc collection. Oh, and if you don't know, I have a bookstore tour up on my channel. Obviously, it's like the 2020 version, so I will have that video linked down in the description box below. So let's get back to this book, shall we? This follows our main character named Neera, and she is Guyanese Indian. Basically, at her school, she is the only brown girl. Neera wants to be a musician, so she plays the trumpet, I think. I'm pretty sure she plays the trumpet. So basically at her school there is like a jazz band audition. She wants to audition for that. However, it's really hard to convince her parents because her parents can be a pain in the ass. They really want their daughter, their only daughter, to study very well in school. I have a lot to say about this book, so get ready. Right off the bat, I just want to say that I do not like this book. I have a lot of problems with this. I really want to like this book because this is a diverse book. The main character is Guyanese Indian, and I feel like the representation is really good. I'll get more into that, but overall this book makes me really mad. First, I want to talk about the things that I actually like because the rant review part will be so fucking long. I love the grandmother. She's the best, okay? The best character in this book. The second thing that I really like is the representation for the family because everyone is Guyanese Indian. Neera, like I said, is Guyanese Indian. I'm pretty sure she was born in her home country and then she and her family immigrated to Canada. But not just that, a few years later we learned that her uncle's family, they also immigrated to Canada, but things were a little bit different because I think she mentioned the fact that when people leave their home country they have to give their money to the government, but her uncle, I guess, got away with it, something like that. But basically her family is very poor, meanwhile her uncle's family is very rich. So there's always this tension between her father and her uncle because they're always fighting about who is like the best. Also the money thing, that's a big deal because Neera's father is poor. Like, she comes from a poor family. Meanwhile, we see her relatives being fucking rich, and her uncle is literally the worst because her uncle is a cheater. Like, he has mistresses. The representation is so freaking good. But now let's talk about the things that I do not like about this book. I do not like the writing. There's literally so much telling and not enough showing. For example, Neera doesn't like this girl. Then we learn that this girl isn't so bad. In this discussion, we learn that this girl, her name's Mackenzie, I think. She is the popular girl at the school, and turns out she is gay, which is fine. And then she's dating Neera's best friend, Emily, which is fine. Neera has issues with this girl throughout this entire book because she can be racist. But then it turns out that Neera makes Mackenzie nervous and she tends to ramble on, but she tends to say so many problematic things and she doesn't mean it, you know? And then there's a part where she literally says, I'm actually not racist. I swear to you, I'm woke, okay? Like, if you give me a chance, I can redeem myself, I swear. I'm gonna read to you this part because it made me so pissed. So like I said, they have this discussion. At the end of it, Neera and Mackenzie are like fine, but you must know that Neera's best friend Emily broke up with Mackenzie. I don't even know. So like I said, they talk. That's the end of that chapter. The next page, remember, there's like an issue now. Emily, the best friend, breaks up with her girlfriend because she does not like to be secretive with Neera, her best friend. It's like a whole mess. This is the beginning of a chapter. It takes 30 seconds to fix the rift between Emily and Mac. Oh yeah, that's Mackenzie, that's her nickname. 5 minutes for Emily to lecture me on being insecure in our friendship, and 2 hours of pizza, movies, and laughter to make everything right in the world. When I read that, I got so mad because that's just telling. This issue was dragged on throughout this entire book, okay? The main character was mad about this girl for the entire book, and honestly, I get it. I hate the fact that everything is okay within one paragraph. One short-ass paragraph right here, and I wrote on it because I was so mad. It's literally so important, and I don't like the fact that things are resolved within one paragraph. And then also, let's talk about this guy named Noah. He's the love interest, of course. I don't give a shit about this guy and his relationship with the main character. It was just so underwhelming. Her cousin got involved and she thought that her cousin and this guy Noah, they're interested in each other and stuff. She gets jealous about it, but it's like, you barely know this guy. I kid you not, they had one interaction at the food court. That was about it. And then they got together. They kissed, and that was it. That was literally it for their relationship. I did not give 2 shits about Neera, Noah, this relationship. Okay, I don't care. I got a burp, I'm sorry. Oh my god. I think this is the last thing I'm gonna talk about before I give my final rating. So the ending. The ending makes me cry, but you don't understand, the ending was rushed. This big thing that happened, I think it was over within 2 chapters. I hate this ending, okay? I hate it. Even though it made me cry, I fucking hated it because it happened for the wrong reason. And let me tell you why. Her dad is like, I don't want you to play the trumpet, I want you to be a doctor. Neera is like, no, I want to be a musician, I'm going to keep playing the trumpet. Basically, the main character and her father stop talking, and it's really sad because it's realistic, you know? Like, once you get into a fight with a parent and things do not go well, silent treatment. That happened, and then this thing that made me cry at the end happened, and then boom, she and her father talked again. And I was so angry because if the purpose is to make these 2 characters talk again, then I have serious issues with the ending, okay? I cannot say much. It's very, very spoilery. The final rating, I give this book 2 out of 5 stars. I want to say that I really like the rap for the Guyanese Indian family, you know? That shit was good. It was realistic, it was sad, it was good, but still. This book ain't it. The 6th book that I read in March is The More Instruments, the graphic novel, volume 3 by Cassandra Clare, illustrated by Cassandra Jean. This is the first half of City of Ashes, which is the 2nd book of TMI. I still really enjoyed the illustration. I feel like if you are familiar with Cassandra Jean, then you know that she is like the main artist for the Shadowhunter Chronicles. But anyway, this was really enjoyable and I really like where the story is going. I'm so excited to keep reading the graphic novels because I'm not in the mood to like reread TMI. There are 6 books in that series, okay? Like, I really don't have the time to reread those books, but I do love the graphic novels. It's really quick and I really enjoy the illustration, and then of course I kind of like the fact that the authors take their time to create this, you know, because this is like the first half of City of Ashes. I kind of like the fact that the entire novel is not being squished into 1 volume. It takes 2 volumes to make up 1 novel. Of course, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I'm so freaking excited for volume 4. So I believe the 4th one is coming out the the fall of 2020. I don't know when because Cassandra Clare hasn't announced anything, but yeah, I'm so excited to read more graphic novels from this series. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for this. The last book that I read in March is Silver Spoon volume 1 by Hiromu Arakawa. I'm pretty sure I butchered her name, so I'm very sorry. So if you don't know, she is the author of Fullmetal Alchemist. The main character, his name is Hachiken. So in the beginning, we see him going to this agriculture high school. We learn that the other characters, they really want to go to this school because they have their family business. Basically, he was a city kid and then he just wanted to go to this agriculture school. So it was like really weird. Everyone is like, what is your goal? He doesn't really have a goal, but I'm pretty sure that he will towards the end because I think his character development will be really good. I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. I really hope I'm not wrong. But basically, we just learn about farming and the high school. It's really interesting because, well, it is something that I do not know much about. Oh my god, let me show you. Look how cute the pigs are. Oh my god, it was so cute. And of course this book is really funny. I cannot wait to continue with this series because I really enjoyed this one. I really like the characters, especially the main character. I thought that he was really funny, so of course I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It was so freaking good. It's really funny and I really enjoy it. I cannot wait to read volume 2, and I will try to read all of the volumes in this series. I'm pretty sure there are only 15. To me that's doable because Full Metal was like 27 and I finished that shit in 2019, so I'm very happy to have like a new manga series to read in 2020. Oh my god, my brain cells. I'm so glad I'm finally done with this video because March is over and I really hope that April will be better. But then also I do want to say that I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is staying at home. Try to take care of yourself. Try to be nice to yourself. It's just so important. I guess that's all I have to say because, you know, there's not much I can say. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.